Alright guys, Liverpool have just beaten Newcastle by 2 goals to 0, and yeah, I'm really happy with the performance as a Liverpool fan. I think we should have made it a few more in the end. I think the first 20 minutes was, the end of the game for Newcastle really. The 2 goals, first one from Nunez, which is a brilliant goal, great pass by Trent, and a really good finish by Nunez as well. He did well to control it, bring it down, and absolutely blasted it past Nick Pope. Not a chance for him to save it. Gakpo took his goal really well as well. It's like ever since he scored that goal against Everton, that's what's given him a bit more confidence in the last game and a half that he's played. He's just looked at a completely different player. He looks just a lot more confident on the ball, less worried about losing it or doing something like wrong or making a mistake. So, that's what you want to see really. Well taken goal once again. And yeah, the moment that ended the entire game really was the red card for Nick Pope, and it's brilliant quick thinking from Alisson to play it out to Mo Salah, and we've seen this happen before with Liverpool. Alisson to Salah, there's been a couple of goals that's happened with. The one that stands out to me, well, there's two. There's the Man United one 3 years ago now, and the Man City one at the start of this season. Both resulted in goals. This one resulted in a moment which pretty much secured the win for Liverpool, meaning that Newcastle were always going to struggle to get back into the game. And from Pope's point of view, yeah, he's got to stop Salah going through, but it's one of them where in your head you have time to think about how am I going to stop Salah scoring, but he doesn't have time to think I need to stay on the pitch here. He's thinking what's the best thing for my team in this game. He's not thinking what's the best thing for my team going forward, because he knows as soon as he touches the ball with his hand, he gets contact with his head, but he's nudged it slightly beside Salah, so it's not quite in his path. But if Salah gets on the end of that, Pope's on the floor, Salah's still 9 times out of 10 going to score that opportunity. So, he in his head he is thinking, oh, what can I do to stop Salah scoring? And yeah, that's cost him a place in the starting lineup for the League Cup final next Sunday. So I'm sure he regrets that, but. And also the fact that Martin Dubravka, the backup, is cup tied because he actually played for Man United in this competition in December, I want to say. So that means third choice, who, Loris Karius. So that'll be really interesting. I think the last time he played a game in English football, well, not English football, but for an English team, was that Champions League final in 2018, coming up to 5 years ago now. So. If he could pull off a man of the match performance in the final, that'd be a great, way to redeem himself. But that was game over at that point for Newcastle when they were 2-0 down with the red card. And to be fair to them, at that point, they could have just given up really. They took off Elliot Anderson for Dubravka to come on, and that meant going to a 4-4-1 formation. And I want to pick out 2 players for Newcastle who absolutely ran their socks off. First one being Saint-Maximin. Jamie Carragher gave him Man of the Match awards, and to be honest, I wouldn't be too far away from disagreeing. He came close to scoring on 2 or 3 occasions, forced a couple of good saves out of Alisson, and Almiron, he ran his socks off as well. So I think they deserve a lot of credit. As do all of the Newcastle players, actually, in fairness to them, for the fight they gave it for the remaining 70 minutes of the game, because they didn't concede, despite having a man less on the pitch, to a Liverpool team who look as though they've got their mojo back. And so that takes a lot of heart and a lot of fight to do. So fair play to them for that. Second half, Liverpool decided they're not going to, go full throttle for it, and were a little bit more relaxed in the second half. Made quite a few substitutions early on. I think they made 4 at one time, bringing on Jota, Firmino, Milner, and Elliott. But the bad news for Liverpool this game is that it looks as though Darwin Núñez is not going to be playing on Tuesday against Real Madrid because he went into a tackle with Kieran Trippier. Trippier actually came out of it scathed, if that is, unscathed, scathed, he came out of it scathed when he got bang on the head. But Núñez, as he's fallen, is fallen awkwardly on his shoulder, and Núñez isn't going to be the type to, give up when he's sort of like half injured, if that makes sense. If he's coming off, something's wrong, because that it's just the mentality that he has. He wants to play every minute of every single game, so it's not looking good. Jota and Firmino came on for him and Gakpo up front, and to be fair to them, that they played reasonably well. I think Jota on one occasion had to score, and on another occasion was really unlucky not to score a brilliant header. In fact, he could have had a hat-trick in all truth. He missed a couple of really good chances, but one where he was really unlucky not to score a brilliant header. Firmino had some good touches. Milner, though, when he came on, made some brilliant tackles in midfield, as he always does when he comes off the bench for Liverpool. And, that's what you expect from him. That's what you get from him. So, brilliant how he's still performing the way he is at the age of 37 against one of the best teams in the league this season. I know they were down to 10 men, but, he is still incredible. The fact that he can play the way he does at his age, and I really hope he does break the appearance record for, the all-time Premier League. It is actually his former teammate at both Aston Villa and Manchester City in Gareth Barry, who does hold it currently, but I think he's about 40 off, so if he plays most games between now and the end of next season, I think his contract's out in the summer for Liverpool, so either if he renews it, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool do give him a 1-year extension, or next year I'm sure there will be a team, maybe in the bottom half of the table who'd be more than happy to take him on for a season. But what a player. And Liverpool's midfield today, they were fine. Bajcetic, Fabinho and Henderson. I'm glad that problem's finally looked to have been solved. Keita and Thiago alongside Bajcetic wasn't working at all. It just made things too slow and wasn't strong enough defensively. So it had to change. It has done, and Liverpool look a lot better for it. Newcastle, though, their midfield, they were always fine, a losing battle with it, even from the start of the game before they had the man sent off. They didn't start the game too badly, and in fact in the first half they actually hit the bar twice. I think Dan Burn did on one occasion, and Saint-Maximin had a shot deflect that looped onto the bar. But you're never going to do great when you've got a midfield of Longstaff and Elliot Anderson either side of Joe Linton, because Joe Linton, he didn't play badly today, but he's not a holding midfielder. His game's about the energy he can give Newcastle from box to box and drifting out wide to the left occasionally. So, that was a big miss for Newcastle, not having him in like a box to box role more than anything else, because one, he doesn't give the same protection or the same sort of option to have on the ball as Bruno Guimaraes does in that holding midfield role for Newcastle. And so, it was like missing two players, having him in that defensive role. I think they possibly would have been better off just, playing Longstaff in that holding midfield role, because Longstaff's in brilliant form, don't get me wrong, and deserves his place in the starting 11, but I think there's been times this season where Newcastle have shown they can cope without Longstaff in that number 8 role, because I think that at the start of the season particularly they played Guimaraes, Willock and Joe Linton as a 3. So I think having Longstaff in that sitting role made a bit more, especially as he's played that role a lot of times before for Newcastle, so I think that would have made a lot more sense. And then you can have Elliot Anderson on the right. I think he prefers playing on the right anywhere, from what I've heard about him. I haven't seen him too many times. But it didn't work last week against Bournemouth, I don't think either. So you know, I don't think Joe Linton in that holding role is something that Eddie Howe should try again, in my opinion, anyway. But, you know, Newcastle battled hard. Alisson, they forced him into a couple of saves, so, you know, that's a positive for them, definitely. And yeah, the only downside I think for Liverpool, as well as Nunez's shoulder injury, is the defending. I think it still looked a bit shaky at times. It looked quite easy for Newcastle to get past them at times, and also set pieces. I think even though Newcastle are a big physical side, you know, you've got players like Dan Burns, Sven Botman, Fabian Schär, Joe Linton, Alexander-Arnold, you know, there is a lot of tall players, Longstaff as well. And, you know, you've got a superb player taking the set pieces as well in Kieran Trippier. Even though that is, you know, you're coming up against that, I think Liverpool should have done better defensively, because on another, defending set pieces, because on another day, Newcastle probably do score and make it a nervy ending for Liverpool at least anyway, so that's one thing that is still a bit of an issue for Liverpool. But I think the main positive for Liverpool over the past week or so with this game and the win against Everton as well is the fact that the midfield looks to finally have been solved. And I think it is, you know, now we've got the midfield playing the way it is, it seems an obvious solution. Now Fabinho and Henderson have been the heart of this Liverpool midfield for the past 4 or 5 years, and by Bajcetic, it looks like a brilliant young player. So, you know, having him come in for the out of form Thiago, I would say, and also I don't think Thiago suits our playing style anyway. So I think, you know, it seems fairly obvious now that Klopp sorted it out. So hopefully we can keep this midfield going forward now to the end of the season, now that we can't bring anyone else in the transfer window. And also, about at half time, I was thinking, okay, if we can start this team in the week against Real Madrid, we have a good chance. Because I know Real Madrid are missing a couple of players. I think Toni Kroos is out injured for them. So, you know, it's not impossible that Liverpool could knock Real Madrid out. It should be a close tie, I think. But, you know, it's doable for Liverpool, I think, anyway. But, yeah, I think neutrals watching this game, they'll be a bit disappointed with the Nick Pope red card. It did, you know, take a bit of the sting out of the game, but the main takeaway from this is Newcastle battled hard, and, you know, they should feel proud of themselves. I think in Liverpool, good win, but I think they could have added a couple more to it and maybe been a bit more solid defensively. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.